Welcome, welcome, everybody. I'm Apollonia Sirius Fleur, damaged combat android, here to do everything humanly possible, and I am joined by my lovely guest.
I am Satsuma Beemo. I am a tanuki. I'm a magical tanuki. I am here in human form to brave the depths of sanity itself.
Magical Tanuki slipped past all our defense systems, and has only stopped at playing nice, relaxing tabletop games. Well, I wouldn't exactly say this is nice and relaxing, but it is for me.
You get to relax whilst you bend my mind. Oh look.
Yes, sends you into screaming fits. Uh, uh, oh, welcome on.
I'm sure I didn't need to use the points. I could have just asked.
Definitely. You know, I'm very, very used to wanting to call you Satsuna, and I think I know why. It's because when I look at my chat, or any chat for that matter, and I see an M, it just looks like an M. I think my eyes are getting a bit worse.
Mm,
But it doesn't
maybe.
matter. You can get most words that way. I mean, it won't mess you too. It won't mess you up too much in day-to-day life.
I mean, you got a better name for me anyway.
Satsuna?
It also begins with an S.
Oh, sweet pea.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet pea, sweet pea, sweet pea.
Damn, you're making me blush before you bend my mind.
With the unfortunate track record of some of the sensations these games have given people, that's not entirely out of character for what happens here. Uh, See the Tara Fairchild incident. But, um, anyways, why don't you introduce your character for us?
So my character is Maeve Byrne. She's an archaeologist currently working in Vancouver. She originated in Belfast, which, if you don't know, Belfast is in Ireland. It's in the north part of Ireland, and it's the 1930s. So this is during the Irish Civil War. She picked up some survival skills in the Irish Civil War. She can use a rifle a little bit, but she got tired of fighting and decided she wanted to pursue a career overseas. She emigrated to America, and she decided to become a university uh, or work at the university as an archaeologist.
The seamless way that you just slipped more and more Irish. You see, it's not even like it's in one big chunk or whatever. It's the fact that more and more words progressively become Irish the more you talk about Ireland.
The more I talk about Ireland, the more my Irish comes out.
Oh yes. And what brings you up to the Canadian wildlands is the legend of the Hanina, a mostly unexplored river valley, um, remarked as mysterious as the Amazon basin. This Canadian wild is said by hunters, trappers, and gold seekers to conceal Aboriginal tribes unknown to science. And whatever truth these stories contain is masked by tall tales of lost prehistoric civilization, strange demons, pygmies, and other unbelievable fantasies. And so surely, after all these legends and also a previous expedition by a Tara Fairchild from Miskatonic into the woods that ended in, well, her conviction of manslaughter, well, only mitigated by insanity, the demand for revelation on the area has only increased. So that brings us up to the start. You are accompanied by your crew of, let me remember their names, Sarah Deerskin, and three graduate students, Bruno, Nora, and Sasha. Sarah Deerskin is a local Indian guide, paid off, with an extensive sum of money to be able to go into the otherwise cursed lands. And, well, yeah. Starting at Fort McDonald, you begin at an outpost, this Royal Canadian Mounted Police outpost. And also a trading post for trappers and Indians alike. A single bark canoe of excellent make has been reserved for you, as well as all the basic gear your summer trip requires. Winter trip. Officials say the guides are reluctant to venture into the North Hanina Valley. The Indians have always shunned the region, and most of the outsiders who dared to trespass upon such a sacred land have never returned. All is in readiness, and beginning down the river, let me pull up some music. You are quickly taken on to the rapids.
Unfortunately, I cannot hear this music.
I'm trying to find it right now. Give me 1 second. I think actually I probably just used Nature Valley sounds. Forgive the lack of preparedness, everybody.
Nature Valley sounds like the
Yeah.
candy bar.
No, not that.
ASMR eating a Nature Valley.
This woodland's a bit too relaxing. Oh, I think I remember what I put on now. The nice, peaceful, calming sound of heavy blizzarding. Alright.
That might be the problem. The heavy blizzard has been turned down in Discord.
Yeah, and now the heavy blizzard is a little bit more moderately volumed. And hello, Care. Thank you for stopping by. I've been out the past few days. I'm struggling to get back into things. Thank you for your patience. Anyways, now with the heavy sound of blizzarding, let the trip begin.
Mighty cold around here.
Indeed so.
I haven't seen a blizzard like this since the potato famine.
Their ideas can respect. Well, this here is pretty common. Such a blizzard, and when it comes, it's natural that some people will be taken by it. And when they do, you can only hope that they will be given an honorable and peaceful death, and a death at that. And there's something ominous about that, but the canoe continues traveling down the river. The best route is upstream, following the west branch of the Mackenzie. And on it, you reach the mouth of a tributary, and at this junction, the water swiftens. The Ram Mountains loom grayly in the distance. The sun is uncomfortably hot in your face, even through the blizzard, a contrast in temperature, and the air is blisteringly cold. The nights are long, and the darkness gives the waterways much time to cool. Each day on the paddle makes the students more adept at keeping time. Your supply of gasoline is limited by necessity, and so you run the kicker, the onboard motor, as seldom as possible, going for manual labor as much as can be done. It's a rougher river than the West Branch. The floodplain is obstructed by sandbars, hills of driftwood, shingle islands, and forests of dead trees, rooted in the mud. The current points all of them downstream, like arrows warning you to turn back. The North Hanina gushes this desolation along a maze of small and large channels. Ahead, you hear the slowly building roar of rushing water. It's a split, but it's not on any of your maps.
Do any of you know? Sarah Deerskin, you know these lands better than any of us.
Sarah Deerskin looks away with trepidation and answers back. This is a place of splitting water. This is long remarked. Choose the right way, and we shall make it through safely, but choose the wrong. She looks a bit worried. This river is alive, you see. Each day, it makes itself anew. Welcome, sis.
Welcome, princess.
You're at a place of a choice. You can either take it to the left or take it to the right.
Place of a choice? Can I see anything ahead on either path?
Nope. The blizzard is too heavy and you cannot make much out. All you can tell is that both move into swift, rapid down currents. And you'll be swept up as soon as you make your choice.
I think our best bet would be to go to the left.
Alrighty. Veering your canoe to the left, the river batters your craft as it begins down this way. And as the pressure and the rumbling increases, you realize you've probably steered yourself into the river's trap. Sarah Deerskin looks anxious, and all the students grab the paddles and try to steer the canal away from rocks and rapids and other threats that would cast it aside. As for you, you hold on to the front rope, steering with all your might. Could you make a pilot boat roll for me?
Could I do that? I don't think I have pilot boat.
Very unequipped. Wow, roll a d100 anyways. There's one number, which makes this a success, at least.
Okay. Do you have a disco boat for that? Or?
Yeah. Exclamation point roll.
Which channel?
You can just do it in rolls.
Oh, there we go.
And your results?
18.
Your eyes went a little crazy doing that.
Now back to normal now.
18. Well, if I remember... Yeah, I think that pilot boat is a start at 1% skill, so a very good effort. Actually, have you rolled luck on your character sheet yet?
I haven't rolled luck.
Then this might be a good place too. Could you roll 3d6 and times it by 5 and put it in the luck? Or just keep it somewhere, you're gonna be changing it a lot.
Oh, whoops. So times by 6?
Times by 5.
Okay, that'll be 45 luck.
Alright. With your luck, sometimes you'll be tested by a luck check or something, where you roll under your luck. However, you can also use it at any point to push down your rolls into the range of success should they be a failure, by spending an equivalent amount of luck, point for point. So 17 luck would turn this into a success, for example.
Okay.
Alright. And spending
I will,
17.
yes, I will
Yes.
spend that luck.
Spending 17 luck, you're able to control the boat despite your lack of knowledge. And fortunately, you seem to be able to make it through the rapids without losing your craft or crew.
Okay.
Crossing into
Well, that
another
was a rough
channel.
one.
Hmm?
Said, well, that was a rough one, wasn't it, there?
Indeed. Crossing into another channel. This passage proves much easier, and you're able to continue down the river without much issue. Though hard taxed by the experience, your party eventually finds a safe place to bank on the side of the river, but not after passing almost labyrinths of wooden islands, past water and loose pieces of drift. You've had the chance. Now you can make camp for the night. You've made it through your first hurdle without too much issue. And as night takes and the trilling of insects picks up, would you like to set up a watch order with the students or anything of that sort? An order for who's watching at what part of the night, so you're always covered.
I'll take first watch, lads. Then, following that, what are your names again? I forget.
I
There we
believe
go.
Nora, Bruno, and the one I forgot.
Bruno, Nora, and Sasha.
Yep.
We'll go in the order that is written down on my itinerary of your names that I have with me.
Works well.
Why don't I just, why don't you put name tags on?
Or you could just write it on the back of your hand. Just pull it up to reference.
Nah, I think you should put name tags on. Writing it on the back of my hand would be work on my part. You're my students. You should be doing all the work.
Spoken like a true professor, isn't it?
It's
Wow.
pretty impressive. I got a professorship at only 27.
True, you're working for that early tenure.
Especially since I was in the IRA until I was 20. Pretty easy.
Perhaps the decision is intimidation.
Intimidation.
I don't know. Maybe the IRA has good retirement packages these days. I haven't checked. Well, assuming first watch, all seems to be going swimmingly well. But as you lie by the side of the river, at a certain point, there's a splashing you hear from somewhere further down. Tap, tip, 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 tip. That little splashing, maybe something swimming or wading its way through the water. Could you make a listen roll for me?
Okay. Ba, 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 ba. Well, I didn't hear anything.
Mm.
Listen. Yeah, that was a fail.
And you listen, trying to hear closer at what it might be, but as you listen in, the sound stops, and well, you're left again with the silence broken by falling snow and chirping insects. As your watch draws to a close, you yawn and cross the tiny circle of firelight to where Bruno sleeps, waking him up for his turn.
Hi, Bruno. I heard something for a little bit, but then my ears failed me. You think with my big Atanic ears I'd be able to hear something, but apparently they don't work.
However, you get shaking Bruno's body. You get no response.
Bruno, wake
It's,
up.
he might just be really fast asleep, but
I kick Bruno.
with a sharp kick, you kick into Bruno's sleeping bag, and looking up, you see it's Sasha inside, and she looks quite sleepy and disturbed by your kicks, but you wonder why it's. She has her own bag, but why she's in Bruno's bag, and as you survey the rest of the camp, you can see that her bag is empty. In fact, if they just switch sleeping bags, then that wouldn't be too much of an issue, but the fact it's empty. Where is Bruno?
Sasha, wake up, wake up.
She seems to be rising slowly and sleepily to consciousness.
Have you seen Bruno? You're in his bag. What were you two doing in there? Is he in there with you? I don't see him.
Where's Bruno? It was too cold. But where's Bruno? She still seems to be disoriented, waking up. Eventually, as you speak and look around and march about, the others are starting to wake up as well. Um, Among them, Sarah Deerskin is up and alert, and she brings her finger up to her mouth and shushes as if calling for silence, but not to go back to sleep. She obviously is looking around quite attentively.
What you looking for?
She says nothing, but continues looking, and her eyes stop on something at the edge of the firelight. Could you make me a spot hidden roll, please?
Why, certainly. I spot whatever it is that, well, my spot hidden is 45, so. And my result was 32.
So, pass or fail.
Pass.
Alright. You see, at the edge of the firelight, in the sand, imprints of some small animal, maybe a raccoon. But as you as you look, Sarah Deerskin shakes her head and says, "No, not here. Not here."
What's not here?
She looks at you, pleadingly, but doesn't say more.
Here, it's not working. Ask you a question.
She opens her mouth. Her breath almost seems caught. She looks about to start hyperventilating. You might be able to get more out of her if only she calms down. But do you have that time with Bruno gone?
Hmm. I'm not about to go stumbling off into a storm without knowing what's about to happen. Come, let's get this fire roaring. Let's try and get things. Just sit down here.
Alright.
Just relax. Just relax and tell me what you're thinking about. Tell me what it is you think you've seen.
Throwing a blanket over her, could you make a psychology roll for me, please?
That is a fail.
Mm. You try to see what's wrong with her, what seems to be catching up her tongue, but you're not able to deduce exactly what, other than that she's very scared. And when she's calmed down sufficiently enough, she mutters a strange phrase. Hakwugis, little ones. Their evil magic has come here. And those are their tracks.
Their evil magic. Interesting.
She nods. Yes. Their evil magic, and when I was, my... And she starts to stammer, and it seems to be gazing off into the fire again, eyes wide. It's back to unintelligible, gibberish.
I turn towards the others. Like, have either of you heard of this?
And they shake their heads. And this seems to be something more local to this area, maybe a native legend.
Well, I think what we need to do is quite sensible. What I need you to do, uh, whatever your name is, where's your name tag gone?
You have your students,
There, Nora.
Nora
Nora, you.
and Sasha,
Yeah.
and then Sarah Deerskin, the guide.
Oh, I remember Sarah Deerskin. She doesn't need one. She has a last name.
So, anyways.
Anyway, I turn to Nora. Like, so Nora, I want you to stay here. I want you to stay here and guard this camp.
Nora
And I want you to
nods.
look after Sarah.
Alright.
Sasha, I want you to accompany me. Grab the blanket. Grab a blanket, put it around both of us. We're gonna walk into. We're gonna follow these tracks and see if we can spot anything. We
Don't
don't
want to
want to
get
go
too
too far.
cold.
No, it's a freaking blizzard out there. We don't want to die. But we want to follow these tracks. What supplies did we have?
You have a number of, the amenities and necessities for camping. But specifically, what might be relevant in this situation is a hatchet for every person and a rifle.
Okay.
A
I
rifle for the
shoulder
whole group.
just one.
Hmm.
Well, I'll shoulder the rifle. And you will both bring a hatchet.
Alright. Sasha with the hatchet, and you with the rifle. And you set out under your blanket, following the tracks. Could you make me, a track roll? I believe that's on the sheet still.
Track, yes. Absolute fail.
Absolute fail. I actually see this roll. Oh, it's just a fail. Yeah, if you get 95 or above, it's an extra big failure.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I usually check for when I hear extra big fail. But yeah. Either the trail of Brenna's abductors is too cuttingly concealed, or your efforts to track are too late with the already heavy falling snow, but you know you ought to continue searching, but you're wandering out into the vastness of the big woods. Your imagination and sense of direction and, more importantly, hopes are quickly overwhelmed. You find as you stumble up a hill, still under the blanket, and every direction looks shrouded by darkness. You can either follow your own tracks back in fear or continue on. Well,
How long have we been working for?
now maybe 20 to 30 minutes. You've made it pretty far from camp, you think.
20 minutes in a blizzard? Damn, was surprisingly stealthy or quick. Um,
It's not the worst blizzard, but snow is falling pretty heavily.
I think we should head. I think we should continue just a little further.
Alright.
20 minutes away from camp doesn't seem like a good amount of time to have spent tracking.
You continue on and search, probably for another 30 to 40 minutes. But yeah, without anything to go off of, it quickly appears to be fruitless. And you follow your own tracks back. Welcome, Tyrus. Well, this is a round robin, so maybe it'll make it to you someday. But currently, it is just a it is just the single challenge to the explorer, Maeve Byrne, played by Satsuma Beemo. And thank you for the hydrate.
Returning back to the camp.
Yes, returning back to the camp. And you see the fire burning, and with it, the relief of, once again, warmth, even if the situation is not one where you should be feeling any satisfaction. But as you pull up to the side of the fire, you see that Nora and Sarah and your canoe are nowhere in sight.
Well, that sucks. They've gone and buggered off on us, haven't they?
Hmm? It it makes no sense. What could have driven them to flee in the canoe? And which direction? They couldn't have gone back upstream if
That's
they were
true.
following the river down. It's
Maybe I should have
nighttime.
taken
They
that
have
Sarah
no.
Deerskin with us. That way she couldn't.
Mhm.
I'm sure she knew something that we didn't know. She knows this land like we don't. She said she was afraid.
Yeah, there was more she definitely wasn't telling you. But what could she have done to Nora to get her to come with?
I don't know. I never trusted that Nora. I didn't remember her name. She didn't seem trustworthy. The one wearing our name tag.
Yeah, thinking back, you think you have memories of Nora disappearing from your class. Not that that's all too strange, but that it certainly shows she had a penchant for ditching.
I'm pretty sure they snuck down river. They snuck down river to go smoke, like in when I do my class. I'm fairly certain that Nora sneaks out.
Yeah. And thank you so much for subscribing, Black Kanye. Welcome back to the
Welcome.
library. Your membership card should be revalid at this point.
Damn, my library doesn't have membership codes.
Your library doesn't have library cards. How are you gonna harass people who take out books and don't return them?
Oh, you see, because I'm a magical tanuki, all the books in my library are magic. I magic them into existence, and if people take a book and don't return it, I just magic it out of existence.
Anything bad happen to the offender or?
Well, so as you know, tanuki perform magic using leaves, and we
Mhm.
can use any kind of leaves. So, what I will usually do is I will use stinging nettles and poison ivy and all those kinds of leaves to create it, to create the books, and then once I magic them out of being books, they return to being leaves. So, the offender will find wherever they left the book is a big pile of dangerous leaves, and if they
Mhm.
happen to be reading the book at the time, then their hands are going to get stung.
Oh, that does not sound like a very pleasant experience. I've had experiences of stinging nettle. Especially the stick your hand in and it's, oh, what's that feeling? Uh-oh.
That's a bit mean. Well, they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have taken my books. My books aren't to be taken from the library.
You gotta
They're
put down
supposed to
some
sit
ground
and read
rules.
in the library by my book.
Some ground rules, some boundaries.
Hmm. Anyone who takes them out to the library, I mean, I can't imagine the guy who just, you know,
Hmm.
some guy sneaks into my library, puts like 10 books in his bag, he sneaks out, and then, like, his bag is now full of poison ivy and stinging nettles. He puts his hand in, and is like, I'm gonna read this Kamen Rider manga I stole from the library. He's like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Well, as you sit at this campsite, only you and Sasha remaining after what? Only day of finally making bank in this cursed valley? What goes
We
through your
made
mind?
bank. We made bank in this valley.
Make sure, or shore up.
Yes.
You're a teacher. You're not in this to make cash, sadly.
Yeah, I heard it was snow, and I was like, damn, there's cocaine out here. I'm
A
gonna
white
make bank.
Christmas indeed.
But only after one day, we've already lost everyone. Uh, well, I think our best course of action is I think, would be to pack up camp and head back in the direction we came from. Not up the hill, I mean, follow the river.
Mhm.
Follow the river back to somewhere sensible without this horrible blizzard, and then try and gain our bearings.
Going to sleep and letting the night pass. When morning comes, the blizzard seems to have eased up a bit. Snow still falls, but not with the same density or wind as before. And you begin to make your way from whence you came. By some stroke of luck, as you follow the river up, you see peeking out over a hill, not in a way that you could have seen coming up, but now that you can see coming back, there appears to be a small cabin nestled amongst the trees, abandoned, most likely.
Sasha,
Sasha looks at you and nods.
I want you to ready your hatchet. Stand by that door.
Sasha moves into position on one side of the cabin door.
I cock and load my rifle, point it into the doorway. Sasha, kick the door in.
Sasha moves back and rushes at the old door to kick it in. But as she does, it seems that the door is weaker, mulchier than expected. The cabin is in some bit of disrepair after all, and her leg goes clean through the wood paneling. The door then soon follows off its hinges, and she spills forth into a decrepit shell of a building lined with old rusty cans of food stocked on shelves.
Well, at least there is no one around. Let's have a look what we have here.
The cans of food, if you weren't stocked well with your own supplies, and if you ever came to the need where you would take your chances, these would well make do. But as it stands, most of them either have developed holes or large patches of rust, or been worn by leaking water into a state where you can only think that what's inside must have long gone bad, and then probably re-petrified. And it's not smelling of anything, but that might also be the overpowering smell of the Hanina Valley, too.
Well, this certainly is interesting. Uh, I'm curious, would I know the history that I know? that canning was only invented in the early 20th century, and thus uh, for
Dear.
cans to have gone so bad so quickly would imply something strange has happened.
Well, it is, it is the 30s now. It's it's been given a decade, maybe a decade or two, for the cans to reach that state. Not to mention that, well, fun fact, there was a period where we had cans, but no can openers.
Are we in that period now? Is that my sanity check? How am I supposed to open all of these cans? We haven't invented anything to open them. Who invented this?
Gosh, that sounds like it makes perfect sense, but it also sounds like RPG logic, where it's like, oh, does this mean that there's an iron pencil blocking our way and we need to get the Apple Kit to make the pencil eraser to keep going? This item isn't a can, but you need something to open it.
What else is in this cabin?
That, and a sleeping bag, and a lantern, and a few flasks of oil. Maybe this place isn't as abandoned as he thought.
Sasher, can you take the oil with you? I'll take
Sasha
some too.
Sasha grabs the oil and puts it in her bag. Looking outside, you see that you lost track of the time as the sky is still clouded over, but the darkness of night is starting to come back.
That's certainly interesting. I would like to light the lantern.
Alright. Lighting the lantern. Oh yeah, you have a lit lantern now. This place isn't as dark as before.
I gotta hang the lantern up. Take down some of those shelves and board up the door that we kicked in.
Mhm.
I'll help you with that. And then we're gonna camp out here for the night.
Alright. Making some makeshift boarding to be able to camp in this room. Just as those boards are finished, the noise of the insects outside stops, and you hear someone beginning to walk up, snow crunching under their boots. Looking through the slats in the boards, there's a white man with a wild, greasy beard. Rags adorn his body, and animal hides as well, forming some patchwork of old clothing and recent carrion that obviously shows that he's been living here a long time, barely scraping by. There's a crazed expression in his face, eyes darting around as he looks at the sight, but you don't see any weapons on him.
I steady my rifle through one of the slats. I say, "Is this your cabin?"
Pushing the rifle between the slats. The man looks at it. mm, His eyes squint and he begins talking in some language you don't understand, but obviously there's an aggressive tone to his voice as he approaches.
I'd like you to stop right there. If you could take a single step forward, I will be forced to shoot you. Now stop. I need to hear, is this your cabin? And what are your intentions?
You're not sure that the man understands English.
I repeat it in Irish.
Making your pleas. Could you make me. Could you make me a persuade roll to try to bridge the language gap and communicate your intention? Just get something out simple as stop.
Well, I failed that.
And the man continues approaching.
I fire.
Just as the man is right up against the slats, you fire. Point blank, it strikes his chest. Do you make me a luck roll?
1d100.
Under your luck.
Nope.
Failure. With a grunt and surprised, horrified grimace, the stranger stumbles backwards from the bullet's impact and collapses, dead. Hurrying over to him, a brief examination confirms the worst. Well, yeah, he's beyond saving. Dead. Sasha looks on, though she was at the slats with you. Looks on in horror, seeing this now lifeless corpse. Could you make me a sanity roll? This act, even in desperation, takes its toll on you.
Oh, fail.
Fail. You take 1 point of sanity damage.
Okay. Which one is that?
Just take it from your sanity. Sanity starts at power.
Okay.
Hmm.
Just one? Okay.
Just 1 sanity damage. It was rolled. Holding yourself together, Sasha still depends on you to get the two of you home. And once that is done, perhaps you can think about what appropriate consequence this action might have. It was in desperation, but in self-defense, but maybe you can pay respects of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, taking a closer look at the body, you notice there's something odd about it. From the legs down, it's almost destroyed by exposure. Bleeding, dark purple, burnt. There's no way that this man should have been able to walk up to the cabin.
Well, that's interesting.
In fact, could you make a medicine roll for me?
Close, but still a fail.
You could push it down with luck if you like, if it's close. I don't know by
That's
how
true.
much.
I will push it down with 7 luck, because I have no medicine.
Using 7 luck to push it down, you are able to recognize that underneath all the exposure and damage done to these legs, they almost seem to be, what, growing stronger in ways? The the part that is burnt and exposed is more muscly, more firm. It's like it was being, as it was being broken apart, it was being formed into something else. That that is unnatural. Could you make me another sanity roll?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Luck isn't on my side today.
I'm guessing that's a failure then.
Mm-hmm.
And you take 6 points of sanity damage. And could you make me an intelligence check at this point?
Oh, uh, well, that's good.
Success. But in this case, success doesn't always mean that it doesn't always mean a good thing. Because when you succeed the sanity roll after, sorry, the intelligence check after reaching the sanity threshold, it means you've comprehended the horror of what you're looking at, and that 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 sends people over the edge. You know, repressed memories, fleeting feelings, those come back in strange ways years later, but it's when your mind begins to race, the thoughts running faster and faster, spiraling to deeper extremes. That is dangerous. And well, as you look at this, as you conclude your analysis, you look up, and in your frantic mind, you blink, and you're in a courtroom. You're not sure why, who these people are around you. In fact, their faces are quite blurry, but you can tell that you sit in the defendant's chair. A gavel bangs against the table, and the faceless judge of this courtroom calls you up to the stand to defend yourself with any last words over your charge of murder.
Murder of whom?
You should
I,
already
I
know.
demand that you read the charges. I am afraid I'm completely unaware of what I'm being charged with.
The judge pulls out a piece of paper, and reading from it states that you're being charged with the murder of. The name turns into a record scratch, skipped over. A trapper, a well-respected gentleman of the Hanina area, murdered on his way back home, shot dead by your rifle, left to bleed out in snow. And the gavel bangs again, the lawyer stretched across his platform, screaming, "Why?" Hmm?
Your Honor, I would request a map.
Costume redeems aren't disabled. You can still do them, TRS. A map of what? The prosecutor across the table looks perplexed, but humors you.
I would like a map of the area of, well, we're here in British Columbia. I would like a map of the entire region.
A map is produced, and it's brought in slowly. A long trail of folded papers. I just got put into French mode. I thought we were doing costume redeems. Oh well. As they do, the judges and juries begin to talk in French. Mon Dieu, s'amusante. Oh yeah. Oh. Hmm. Mon maître. Pourquoi? Pourquoi? All right.
I would like you to point to me on this map where the supposed murder took place.
Ici, ici. Finger points out to it. Ici, ici. Oui, oui. It's it's somewhere by a river. You lean in on the map and yeah, it's the map is only half folded. They're still bringing in the map. How big is this valley? And as you lean in, he draws his finger back. Um, Back leading further and further down the river, which spider webs and crawls out in 1,000 different directions. And breaking up more and more, your vision clouds over, and this courtroom isn't here anymore. And you're back. The snow falling around you in a the snow falling around you as you lie by the bank of a frozen river. You don't feel too cold though. And the strange images, those spiderweb fractals, as well as something. Maybe a bear, a large animal peeking out over the trees. No, over the trees. Oh god, how big could it have been? Sasha is nowhere in sight. The valley stretches on in every direction. The mountains on either side of you. You have no idea where you are now. All you have is the supplies on your back And your rifle, there's still a few bullets loaded into it.
Well, first things first. I listen. I listen for the sound of water.
There's a small sound of flowing. The small dripping of water traveling over ice where it hasn't frozen. But the river here, this small bit, is almost entirely covered in glass-like sheets of ice.
I walk over to the river.
Walking
I
over
take.
to the river. Go ahead.
I watch intently to see which way it's flowing.
No. And you see that it flows downhill, probably towards some watershed in the area.
I walk in the opposite direction of the watershed.
Alright. Following the river upstream. Let's see. Alright, here. Following the river upstream, you pass maybe a day just walking, following it. But the river still stays icy and frozen over. And though it cuts in with small other sections of river, pools, and ones that cut across to flow in different directions, you just get the feeling you're just going to be walking in this forever. And as you walk beside it, eventually night falls, and you're forced to take a break. Sitting down after making a rudimentary fire. As soon as you're anything comfortable, your eyes close, and when they open, you get the feeling years have passed, and you see the room around you. A small room in some asylum. That's what it has to be, this padding, the bars, the table so designed so that you couldn't break it apart to hurt yourself. What? How could you have ended up in a place like this?
Hello, is there anyone there?
You call out, and eventually your cry is answered by rattling on the door. But not rattling from where you would expect knocking to come. You can hear the rattling is right at the base, almost as if someone is tapping, someone incredibly tiny is tapping against it, or rapping on it. The level of maybe a foot from the ground. Arf.
Is there a dog out there?
Non-diegetic. Maybe there is. Yes. For some reason, your room has a doggy door, and coming through it is a small raccoon dog. Arf, arf. Yep, yep. Maybe this vision isn't too bad after all. You wake up from your strange dream, snapped out of it by possibly the injection of some humor. Some humor you didn't know you had left with how terrible this trip seems to be going. How disorienting everything is becoming.
Now that I'm back awake,
Hmm.
I look back towards the river. I look to see if anything has changed.
And the river is still frozen over.
Am I still on a hill?
You're still traveling uphill, though by the looks of it, now that you can see with some of the morning light, you're probably heading up towards the direction of the mountains. Maybe this is a flow from one of the ice caps.
Well, that's a problem. Heading up the mountain seems like a terrible idea right now.
Well, yeah, heading up the mountains does just submit yourself to more work, though you can probably find shelter in caves and the like. And maybe there's a vantage. You could also try to split off in a different direction and continue that way.
I was thinking what I should do. Hmm. Are there any trees? Can I see any trees?
There's plenty of trees. High pines and conifer and all that you would expect in a traditional Canadian valley.
What I would like to do is I would like to head up the mountain and look for a vantage point.
Heading up the mountain, up this river, you eventually make it to a high place, not one where you can see over every mountain, but one where you can start to see into a small valley between mountains, as well as the valley you just came out of. It's a plateau, and decorating it is a small circle of rocks. This takes another days of travel, and the sun appears to be setting. At least the light is dimming in that way. But from this position, there is a place where a yellow light shines out to cross this platform, a blade of light almost cutting through between the clouds and the ground. As it does, as it cuts this way, you see a massive, awe-inspiring figure in the mountains. Something almost humanoid, though you suppose it must just be a peak with a trick, catching a trick of the light. But it almost looks like standing between two great tops. There's a complete human figure, hands and body and head, though elongated, all rising out.
I wave.
You wave to the figure. And of course, as this valley has taught you that nothing is safe, it waves back. Could you make me a sanity roll, please?
Why, certainly. Success.
Success. Oh, whoops. I have to actually get the video URL. You take 3 points of sanity damage. And looking at this figure as a massive claw, one that was obscured by the way its hands were clasped around its body, stretches out, each bony finger trailing away from the main portion of its hand as it almost robotically waves back and forth. Think, this can't be true. What is your reaction to this?
Go. This is not reality.
The
And
figure,
also,
you're not sure, but you think by the way it's striding that it's beginning to move closer to you.
from my plateau, I walk to the edge and look down
Mm-hmm.
in the opposite direction of this figure that is striding towards me.
Well, that's just the way you came. And the sun officially dips below the mountains, and the yellow light becomes a thickly dim orange. Total darkness will soon come.
I want to slide back down the mountain away from the creature.
It's steep, but you begin to run. Almost, yeah, dread carrying you. Could you make me... Yeah, this would be a constitution roll to maintain stamina and pace against this.
Success. That's a
Nice. You run down the hill, your legs picking up more and more speed as you do, even as fatigue hits. The gravity of your situation is clear. You cannot let whatever that is reach you. Eventually, you are probably as far away as when you initially started this day out. You're not sure how long has passed, but whatever that figure was, it's now no longer in sight, though the image of it standing between those two mountains is burned into your mind. Sometimes, as you finally get too tired to continue and have to take pause, you can almost feel a call, like you want to go back up that mountain, like it's waiting for you up there. You just don't understand why you're not ready yet.
I continue to try and resist the call and move away.
Hmm. No. You think that you're far enough away, and though that call remains, that nagging sensation, otherwise, you're just back in the cold, fending for yourself once again. Something feels a bit funny about your boots, though. Don't feel right on your feet. Or maybe your feet don't feel right.
I look at my feet.
Removing your boots, and you see that your feet are a deathly white, and mixed in with that white, a tinge of cold dark blue. It looks like it could almost be frostbite of a kind, but wiggling it around, it feels fine. Your feet don't even feel cold.
Well, first things first. Uh, let's make a fire and try and. If it's frostbite, I want to see. If I warm up my feet and it's painful, it's frostbite.
You begin to warm up your feet against the fire, and no, it doesn't seem to be frostbite. The fire, it's maybe a different feeling in your mind, but you fear it. You think you should not get too close to it. But the heat doesn't sting. Not this heat.
I take the hatchet and I push it up just a little, just to make a small cut on my foot to see
You
what
cut
comes out.
into the foot. You're not sure what you even hope to accomplish with this. What could have happened on the trip to drive you to this point? But getting the cut in, it's meaty. It's like solid, strong muscle. And what pours from your foot is blood, but it's thick and black and has the consistency of almost molasses.
Does the blood stem?
The blood stem.
How long does that take?
After a few minutes, the blood dries. And, well, yeah, even this is also to mention, even as you cut into the foot, you could definitely feel it was cutting. The pain, the shock. There was none of that.
Hmm.
With the blood dried, and your foot feels as if you could begin to walk on it again. pristine condition.
Well, that's certainly an interesting turn of events.
And you're wondering if maybe this is related to that creature you saw. That terrifyingly huge man.
Hmm.
Or maybe it all started with that man from the cabin.
I make a choice. Actually, no, I don't. I set up camp and decide I will make a choice in the morning.
Alright. Making rudimentary camp. It is already nightfall after all. You sleep through the night. And, well, when morning comes, and you rise out and think about making that big choice as you break open a can of preserved food and begin to eat. You still have sufficient rations. You shouldn't run out for a while, but you don't know how long it'll take you to make it back. And then, as you dig into it, you find yourself back in that courtroom. Hmm? Oh. The faceless judge looks at you and says, "Have you found what you hope to find yet?"
I haven't found. I haven't found what I have to find, but I found something. Something that interests me. Something that might make me stronger.
At this, the prosecution leans far over the table and says, "Oh, please do tell." Hold on. Is it finally beginning? Confession? Admittance? Maybe I'll be able to wrap this into a nice guilty plea and get on to the next case sooner rather than later.
I'm not guilty of anything.
Mm. The prosecution slumps back. You seem to expect that, but it's almost disappointed, as if he was still hoping you'd say something different. Really, you're not gonna admit to anything, even eating what you're eating? I mean, what kind of innocent person would be able to happily enjoy the carrion of another thinking being? That doesn't sound like an innocent human, does it?
By the carrion of a thinking being. All beings are thinking.
One that thinks like you.
I
Or
would
should I
like.
put it in different terms, maybe? An innocent person? Exactly what you claim to be. Actually, it might be a mix of multiple, a few. I'm not sure.
Well, if you are trying to convince me that the tin provisions I have are human meat, that seems to be what you're trying to imply.
You
I
catch
would
on
like to
quick.
see proof of this right now.
Yes, the tin provisions you're eating have appeared in your hands in the courtroom. Still packaged, though, but the prosecution simply says, Exhibit A. Would you please turn it over and show the rest of the courts? You could actually get a good look at it yourself.
I turn it over.
Turning it over, you see that in the bottom of it, the back of it, a hole has been eaten away, rust surrounding the edges, and inside is just a foul black goo. For whatever reason, you feel like you've seen this provision before.
Hmm. I would like to say that that is most certainly not what was in the can I was eating. The prosecution has clearly planted evidence.
I think this one will come down to a matter of perspective. Say, I'm hungry. Why don't we adjourn court for a lunch break? And with that, you're back eating breakfast. There's a few. There's a few cans discarded. You're sure that you were only eating just this one here. But next to it now, beside you, is two other cans. One of them, well, it isn't rusty, but it has been punctured and cut in strange ways. Maybe you struck it with your hatchet a bunch, or maybe it just got crushed and crumpled in your bag in a weird way. But it seems to have taken quite the considerable damage.
I examine it more closely.
Some sweet smelling sauce lines the inside of it. As you bring it up and get a sense of it, could you make me a power roll? Tell me if you make a hard success for this one.
Okay, our roll. Okay. It's just a regular success.
Alright. Regular success. There's a strong drive. It's hunger, but of a different sort. It makes you want to lick down this can, every last bit of it. Like like the whole can is covered with the sweetest sugar, a one that you on this trip haven't had in months to experience. But
Hmm.
you pull away from it. Whatever it was, you've had your fill. Hmm. There's something all wrong about this. At least that strange dream's spoiling your appetite.
I look back at my legs.
You look back at what?
My legs.
Your legs. And your feet are still white and blue. It seems to maybe have risen to the level of a bit past your ankles now.
I I have made a decision.
Alright.
I will return to the plateau.
You return to the plateau. It's bright out, and it feels empty, except for the circle of rocks here.
I will make camp here in the circle of rocks.
Alright. You wait, and you wait, and you wait. The light dims, but there's no sign of things. Anything. This place is eerily still. Not animal, not insect, not bird. None of these come and make sounds here. Darkness falls, and yeah, you're left still waiting.
I look. Well.
Well, what?
I try moving the rocks.
You begin to move the rocks around. The night is still young, and this night, above all others, maybe it's the elevation too that helps, but brief patches of moonlight show between crevices in the clouds, cracks between them. They dance about you as you move the rocks around. It's starting to get later. You feel tired. Sleep will come soon, if you let it.
I make a circle of the rocks as close around me and lie in the middle.
Right. Lying there, it takes a bit. Your mind is wrapped, but eventually, with your eyes closed, and just the sound of your heartbeat rhythmically beating, like footsteps, maybe. Yeah, like footsteps. Your heart rhythmically beating. You're able to drift further and further away from the world. Eventually, you don't even feel the uncomfortable rocks beneath your bedroll. The rough plateau surface. It feels like your hand is being cradled, and, well, your head is being cradled in hands, and you're being lifted off to sleep somewhere else. In your dreams that night, You're dancing through the forest, running free, unburdened. The night is as bright as the day. Your eyes see in perfect color through the whole expanse. And in the distance, you run towards a brilliant fire, one whose light spirals around it in a way that you've never seen with your eyes before. Everything, the sights, the smells, even the ground below your feet, all of it feels so much more intense, so much more powerful. You feel powerful, strong, able, capable.
I appreciate this power.
It's a sweet feeling. And it feels like there's one decision for you to make here, and you're strong enough to make it, too.
I make that decision.
Hmm. I've already said what's here. The expanse around you, the fire in the distance. I want you to say what you're doing.
Go to the fire.
You go to the fire. You lumber forward, and then you're sprinting. You're blindingly moving fast over the trees. The fire is surrounded by a gaggle of probably Indians from some tribe. They haven't noticed you yet. You moved far too silently for that. What would you like to do? And if the words are too hard for you, you can always just say, proceed.
Proceed.
Proceed. You leap from the trees. The next moment, the fire is out, and there's chaos in the camp. You think the Indians around you are scrambling for weapons. What would you like to do?
Hmm. Well, we can't have that. I would like to stop them. I would like to take their weapons. I
You
would like to
proceed.
subjugate them.
Dominate, subjugate. And this is what you feel. You've already heard their cries of terror. Cries that weren't just of the surprise, but of ungodly reactions of horror, of primal terror. That's what you want to hear more of, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's less of them now. Probably half as many as before. And they're not going to move or be able to get away. Some of them probably for life, some of them for a very long time. And there's a roar, and you think it came from you. You're hungry. What would you like to do?
Consume.
Oh, flesh must be eaten. You wake up. That was refreshing. You weren't lost on your own. You weren't paralyzed. You were powerful. In a morbid sense, but powerful. The gift has spread up to past your knees.
Hmm. Do I know? Do I know now if the gift will stay with me outside of this expense?
You think. Hmm. You think you might be able to leave this expanse, but certainly this expanse will never leave you. You've already seen the map. That map from your first dream. That was bigger than this valley should ever be. Maybe it describes something more than this valley.
Something more than this valley describes this world.
No, it didn't match up to this world either. But maybe, maybe, if you got another look at it, had a map of the world to compare, you could put the map of this, whatever that was, over the map of this world, and line up the Hanina on both. Like, like it's maybe a cross section between the two.
Hmm. I wish for more power.
You wish for more power.
Mm-hmm.
If it's power you desire, you know the way to acquire more. There's some in your
Yeah.
bags. You're not sure why you pack them so deep, but there's some rusted cans. You know what they're filled with.
Mm-hmm. I will continue. I will consume.
That's right. It only makes sense. To become more powerful, you're going to need stronger nutrition.
I need this power to get out of the expanse.
That's right. That's your goal. And on that, leaving this expanse, could you make me a survival check, please?
uh, mm, mm, mm. Fail.
Fail. Well, then you are going to be cast wandering. You thought you had maybe, with your sense of power, a better sense of direction. But no, once you start wandering the valley, you start feeling minuscule and powerless again. Whims of another person following, almost by chance, where you'll end up. You don't like that at all. Let's see where you end up. Okay. 32. One second. Eventually, after walking around for a day, or maybe 2 days, it doesn't matter much. With no luck finding a way out, you're struck again by hunger, but you've already adequately nourished yourself. Too bad you don't have more where that came from. Not immediately available. And the berries and everything else feels like empty, empty calories. A meal that won't sit at all. You really hope something turns up soon. Could you make me a luck roll?
Yes. Fail.
You don't come across anything. And starvation begins to set in. And you stagger and stagger about. Even with your strength. And that strength takes its toll, and you feel strong, but completely lethargic and unequipped to use it. The temperature, even though the blizzard is cleared up, the temperature seems to be dropping precipitously. It's colder and colder. Your skin all over is cold to touch, and you feel like you'll never warm up, even sitting around your fire. Could you make me a power roll?
That's. That is a. Or is that a hard success? It's less than half.
Normal success.
Okay.
So just a normal success?
Yes. Yeah.
Alright. As you lie awake alone, and you're sitting with your hunger and delirium, you feel like you can begin to hear something else. The wind that blows from the north, its blows now make out a song, cast down over the trees and the mountains, just for you to be able to hear.
Hmm. What does the song sound like?
Let me find it. And I seem to have lost my entry. Give me 1 second. Let's see. Okay. It's on the wind, it sings of not words, but bizarre images, bizarre and surprising. It makes your own mind feel like a stranger. It seems to be teaching you things. How to hunt, how to track, how to disguise your presence. And of course, it appears to be encouraging you.
Mhm.
Yes.
I go in the direction of the song.
Following it, you move up and up and up. It leads you towards the north. Mm, Looking up in the sky, and you see the North Star right above your trip. You wonder how long this almost seems been to have been destined for. And finally, as you step between into an open clearing, two large megalithic rocks on either side, there is that awesome shape again. That great, terrifying humanoid. The one that stands above all trees, and from whom wind blows forth in great bellows. You know now, this is he who you know is your master, a great name, one that you now have imprinted into your mind, deeply embedded, engraved besides runes and other carvings and symbols. The great Wendigo, Ithaqua. And right now, your god. Well, maybe another god would have demanded a heavy toll or absolute submission. It feels like you're almost being invited in the same way one would invite someone to enjoy tea.
Mm-hmm. I submit to my god.
Moving into the center of the clearing and sitting down. The massive figure, too, takes one leg and puts it above the other, sitting crisscross applesauce, if that. You must still have some sense of humor to be able to laugh at that. You see that entirely from the waist down now. Whatever clothes were there have fallen away, and instead, there are black stump-like hooves attached to goat's legs. Blue and black and thoroughly eaten by the cold.
Mm.
Your arms too. Claws and um your hands replaced with claws and white bony arms. You have grown fast. That's something you know. It's not, you're not sure if it's something coming from Ithaqua or just innately understood. But there's almost prodigal acceptance of the call. And the figure seems to be waiting.
I kneel.
Kneel. And it slowly reaches out a claw and picks your head up from looking at the ground. It seems to be trying to draw you back to your feet.
I stand.
Its claw retracts. It's waiting again.
I walk towards it.
You walk towards it. Once again, it's waiting. You feel powerful. You get the impression as you walk closer and closer, still waiting a response from it. But perhaps it is not looking for you to fulfill some desire of it, but it is looking for some desire of yours.
I wish to consume.
Just making that mental declaration, the figure moves, rising to its feet, and as it goes off into the forest, it almost beckons for you to follow it.
I follow.
And you follow it up and up and up. And eventually, in front of your path, you see a squirming sleeping bag. Someone obviously wrapped, disoriented, and trying to escape, but utterly pitiful in their attempts. Crawling on the ground like a maggot. You recognize it to be Bruno's sleeping bag.
Well, he means nothing to me anymore. I consume.
And your hunger is fulfilled. Maybe that hunger was gripping hard before, but your mind feels freer. Your body has become strong. Your mind has followed suit. What would you like to do? The old god still waits for you.
I wish to subjugate.
And the old
I wish
god
to
walks.
return to my homeland.
The old god begins walking, but upon mention of homeland, it stops. And you too stop. Homeland? Where would that be?
Across the sea.
Hmm. There's some lakes here, but no sea. Can't be right, can it? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe your head's feeling funny. Do
I
you
wish
really
to be.
want that?
I wish to return and become feared That is what this power is for.
That much is understood. But return to where? You think of Fort MacDonald where you set off from. With your power, you certainly could easily subjugate that place.
I shall start there. I shall return to Fort MacDonald. It shall be mine.
Alright. What would be a good track for this? I'll think this one, maybe. You walk and make your way towards Fort MacDonald. It's just at the edge of this place. And this is all your domain. Doesn't feel too intimidating to leave. And finally, just as night is falling, you reach Fort MacDonald again. There's still life in it. Guards and a few late returners and yes, even the occasional car still driving in. People pulling in to maybe grab a late room before they set off on expeditions of their own.
No one can have this power but me. This is mine. They will be mine.
Yes, that seems alright. You were given this power. You're all free to use it that way.
I walk towards the guards at the fort. I snap their necks.
The first one doesn't even notice you coming. The second one's... Well, could you make me a dexterity check?
I failed.
Oh, are you still using your old percentage for dexterity?
Yes.
Silly. Bump. Double whatever your dexterity was before.
Okay. Well, that's a success.
See, easy. You get first action. There's about 2 guards. Both of them have rifles on this side. They have just watched their friend brutally die, and you need to silence them quickly.
I casually pick up and throw the body.
Of one into the other?
Yes.
Good idea. Could you make me a strength and then a throw check? Double your strength, as before.
Well, success on the strength. 69. Failure on the throw.
Rushing forward, you grab one of them, chuck the guard, the wall of the fortress. You were trying to nail the other guard, but it seems that this has only dealt one of them to their end. The other guard has his rifle raised at this point and takes a shot. If you... Actually, no. The shot, as he raises his rifle, points it towards you, which you notice he's pointing a lot higher than you would typically if you were pointing to shoot a person. You must have become something a lot bigger. And with that, the gun fires. There's a blinding flash of painful gunpowder, so you realize it is connected solidly. Inside the fort, you think you hear people moving and beginning to bustle. But at this point... Yeah, take 2 points of damage.
Okay. 2 hit points, okay.
What would you like to do now? This guard has been quite a nuisance.
I shall rush him and bite into him.
Alright. Could you make me a fighting check?
Fighting. Let's see. That would be a fail.
That's unfortunate. He sweeps underneath your claws, but he doesn't look to be in the position to shoot again. Ashtere.
Ashtere.
Instead, he goes for a holster on his hip and pulls forth a hatchet. Seemingly fearless, he moves to cut you. You can choose to defend by dodging or fighting back.
I shall fight back.
Alright. Roll me a fighting check, please, and tell me your level of success.
Still a failure.
You whiff another claw as the hatchet buries itself into somewhere beneath your ribs. It doesn't hurt very much, though. You can continue fighting. 3 points of damage.
Okay.
It's your turn. What would you like to do?
Oh, okay. I attempt to attack again.
Make me another fighting check, please.
Ooh. That's a good success.
Alright. Now, just for the satisfaction of it, could you roll me 46, please?
Okay. $12.
12. Exactly enough. Your claw slices across, and, well, the guard will not be having an open casket funeral, that's for sure. This group has been dealt with. You can tell the rest of the place was on high alert. You hear others arriving soon. And the characteristic sound of rifles on someone's back, bouncing back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
You feel powerful. What would you like to do?
Can I see anyone around?
Not yet. They haven't turned the corner yet, but you know that they're probably armed, so take that into consideration, or do not.
I wish to consume the god.
Regain 2 hit points. You beast down. The group turns the corner, and with them, there's a salvo of shots. You can choose to dodge, to try to avoid some of these, but you sacrifice your ability to attack. Next turn, if you do.
I shall dodge.
And that is VIP status. Priority access. Alright, what was the success level of your dodge?
Wait, what's dodge?
It's a skill. You roll it.
Oh, half of dexterity.
Mm-hmm.
And you said my dexterity doubled?
Yup. It's half dex, so...
Okay. 94? Okay, I think
Ouch.
that's still a failure.
Collectively, 3 painful shots hit your chest for a collective 4 points of damage.
Okay.
It's your turn. What would you like to do?
I run and pants.
Alright. Make me a fighting check, please.
Fail.
Your claw sweeps wide, but you're now engaged in close combat with this group of 3 that's bound to the corner. They resort to pulling out knives and unable to reload their rifles in the chaos. And you can choose to defend yourself with dodge or fighting back. Either way, roll 3 dodges or 3 fighting checks.
3 fighting checks, please. Wow, massive fail.
Alright, let me VIP you.
God damn it.
Welcome as a priority member.
All 3 fails. One of them is 98.
Ouch. Yeah. You roar, sweeping claws around, trying to grab hold of all that attack. The first knife hits you for 3 points of damage, striking somewhere deep and close to your heart. What's your current hit points now?
My current hit points after I increase my constitution and taking that down, I'm at 5.
Alright. And the second knife embeds itself for 1 hit point. Just scraping.
Yeah.
And the last one bounces off of your hide. It's unable to get through.
I continue to attack in a frenzy.
Alright. Make me another fighting check.
Success.
Alright. Nice. Roll 46 again.
Uh, 13.
13. One of the guards is now cast in pieces on the tree behind him. You're not even sure how you got some of him up there yourself. But you have bigger things to focus on. Or more like many small fry. What would you like to do?
Continue to attack.
Make me another fighting check.
Ooh. Massive success.
Nice. Critical. Either way. Yeah, is it under 1/5?
Yes, it's under 1/5.
Alright. You shish kebab one of the guards on your hands. You can save this one for later. You still have 1 free claw. With a repeating attack, you get a 3rd chance. Make me another fighting check, please.
93.
It
That's a
whips.
spell.
The guard steps back, pulls out his rifle again, and with a motion it seems to be reloaded and ready to fire. You can choose to resist by dodging, but sacrifice your attack next turn, or you can just hope he misses.
I hope he misses.
Let's see. Your left eye flashes and goes red. You take 1 point of damage. It's not as bad as it could be, but your free claw goes to clutch. Your vision blurry and caked with blood.
He'll go to attack.
Make a fighting check.
Still a failure.
With a cry of absolute mortal terror, the guard jumps at you, knife in hand, for a last attack of desperation. You can choose to resist with dodge or fighting back.
Fighting back.
Tell me your results.
Oh. Failure. Just.
Unfortunately, as the guard just dodges underneath your claw, swung towards him, you feel right in between your rib cage, right in the midst of your icy heart, cold metal stopping it. And like a ripple, the coldness, the absolute stillness of death begins to creep out from it. 3 points of damage. Where does that put you?
At 0.
I thought so. You have, as your mind leaves this body, and all that came with this body, is there anything, any final motion you take in your last vestiges of lucidity before the end?
I consume.
Yes. One last lash out. Claw rushing for what was stolen from you. But with how quickly darkness comes to you, you don't even get to see the result. And congratulations! That is the end of the game. Is it playing our credits music? I hope so. There we go. How did you enjoy that?
That was fun. I like that.
I'm glad.
I would have liked to have taken that fort, though. Dare those puny humans fight back.
Can't always win them all. But I noticed, yeah, once it started to head towards the corruption of the Wendigo, I started to notice, yeah, I was like, I just turned this really into a, I should get you, cause you're very much reacting to stuff in the sense of very, very trepid, very careful, very letting things play out until the most obvious option became available. I wanted to use it to do something where it was just what you wanted. just unrestricted free power in the very Griffith in the God Hand sense.
I mean, you just corrupted me. Black corruption.
Yeah. There's funny things that result from these multiple choice modules. This one is another one. You know, the Alone on Halloween and now this one. They're both you can both pick them up by looking at the Alone or Solo Adventures for Call of Cthulhu. You can play them with a single GM or single player. But you can also play them all on your lonesome. Though if you do it with a GM, your GM can do fun stuff like this, which takes you past the designated endpoint of what your activities should be. But yeah. And that mostly wraps things up, except is there somebody you would like to nominate for next time?
You might already know who I'm gonna nominate.
Maybe I was informed of it.
Certain cat boy.
Wow, let's get a name on the table. Could you maybe say said cat boy's name with a strong get the fuck over here kind of message attached to it?
I nominate you, Kaneko Kenji.
I think that'll suffice. You're very sweet.
I had a lot of fun though.
I'm glad. Oh yeah. And I guess this is the part where we find somebody to raid now. Feels like there's more I should be saying or something.
I should be raid.
Well, I can take suggestions while I wait for Twitch to load.
I see Gyaru Goyle is on.
Gyaru Goyle? How would I spell that?
Gyarugoyle.
G-Y-O-R...
but Gyaru.
Like that?
No. Gyarugoule.
Oh, that makes so much more sense. Alright, we will be rating the correct person now. Right, you have to take out the Twitch link too, part of it.
Yeah.
I am...
You have forgotten how to stream.
I have certainly forgotten how to stream. All of that has been... I've been kissed stupid the past few days. I'm just gonna say it.
You've gone through the bimbification.
Oh, don't put it like that. Oh, God damn it. Anyways, for raid message, we can just do... Oh no, now I'm getting partial to say...
You're thinking bimbo, right?
No, I'm saying I was kissed stupid. Can't stream. No, we're going into somebody's new chat. We can't be too rowdy. Oh no, I only have half the time to figure out a good message. When did Tanuki?
Okay.
Wend it, Tanuki. Like that. Alright, 10 seconds left. Have a nice night and let me flure you off to sleep. Maid raid works too. But, ciao ciao.